Can we just say that the Grim Reaper is probably one of the best character introductions of RWBY? Like, just seeing that entire beginning sequence was pretty freaking epic. Like, to the action sequence, which, by the way, Rooster Teeth, really good action sequence. I love the way you did that. Just seeing the movements of the characters, the flips and everything, it was astounding. But just seeing how Maria, Grim Reaper, was just so insanely strong. It's unbelievably shocking, but it does make sense, because, I mean, we've known for a little bit now that Maria is obviously more than she appears to be. It seems like she's very aware and has a lot of knowledge about Grimm. She is someone that obviously is very intelligent, is able to keep her cool, and so we know for a fact she's been hiding something important, especially after what happened in the last episode with the Silver Eyes. We know she's been, or she is very important, and seeing just to reveal that she was the Grim Reaper, and that, her entire, way of fighting was so inspirational that someone like Crow himself based his weapon off of the Grim Reaper is pretty insane. And I really like that, because it adds so much character to who Crow is and who he really looks up to, but also to, the Grim Reaper and Maria and how important she's going to be to the plot. Which, by the way, can we talk about how gruesome that was to what happened to her in this episode? Like, I couldn't imagine just one of the most painful experiences. Like, you're one moment you're fighting, and the next moment someone just slices your eyes, and you can't see everything. Everything goes black, and you just completely can't see anything. I can't imagine the sheer terror and just, the pain of that entire situation, because in that moment, everything she's been used to up until this very point in the story or her life, she, was able to see. She was able to constantly see everything in front of her. Regardless of her using her silver eyes to take down Grimm, that wasn't just a big factor. It's the fact that she lost her eyes, which she relied on every single day for every single moment she was awake. And in that moment, it was just gone. And you gotta imagine, like I said, the amount of terror she had in that moment. I'm surprised Grimm wasn't summoned in that moment after her, because you gotta imagine the emotions that she was feeling as soon as that happened to her. But the point was, though, is that she lost her eyes. We found the reason of how Maria lost her eyes, but also how insanely powerful she was. And I do like how she viewed everything after the event, and how she's like, I'm not someone that, should be praised, someone that should inspire people. You shouldn't want to become like me, like when she was talking to Crow, because I'm an individual that is a failure. I'm someone that's a disappointment. I have done so many things after I lost my eyes that you honestly shouldn't ever look up, to me, because all my life when I was a huntress, I was someone that, went out of my way to protect everybody. I was a kind person for the people. But as soon as I lost my eyes, I was selfish and did everything for my own survival and didn't care about anyone else. And I feel like this entire plot point with her character is very similar to the entire group's, viewpoint on their situation with the relics, to Salem and all of that, and how they could potentially progress from this point. What objective do they have? Now, as I said, Silver Eyes is still a big thing. We don't really know if the Silver Eyes are capable of defeating Salem or not, after seeing once again in this episode a very strong Grimm was just petrified like that and demolished. We don't really know if it's potentially possible for, RWBY to do anything against Salem. It's still not been established, and like I said, it's weird that someone like Osmond that's been around, you think you would know something about this, but like I said, that's left up for when Rooster Teeth really wants to talk about it. But, however, we did get a very big piece of information about the Silver Eyes. Number one, once again, we got to see that having Silver Eyes is very dangerous. Besides just being rare and powerful, being able to take down Grimm, we see someone like Talk just come around and hunt down someone with Silver Eyes, which is Grim Reaper, which Maria, she was very powerful. She was someone that was like a legend. People looked up to her. So someone coming after her, you gotta imagine, has to have a lot of balls to do something like that. But also, it shows there was a very powerful group that just didn't want those eyes around. The question is, what group? Now, you would assume most likely it would be Salem. That seems like the easiest, person to kind of target, because, I mean, Salem, if she is affected by Silver Eyes, she wouldn't want them around. Okay, however, now knowing how Salem is as an individual, she is not someone that wants to live. So, thinking about everything, Salem just wants to die. So, if this, Silver Eyes were capable of killing her, I highly doubt she would, stop the Silver Eyes from trying to end her. So the point is I don't think it is Salem that did what, happened to Maria. You okay, Casca? She's playing with her toy, if you hear. But, anyways, basically, Salem, I don't think she's a part of that. I don't think she is the one that, targeted Maria in the past. I believe it's another group. The question is, what other group, and why? What is the reason? Is it because of, rarity? Maybe the eyes are rare, or they're scary to other people or something? I mean, it's a big question I have. It could also explain why maybe silver eyes are so rare, is because people that do have them are hunted down, and that's why they're not really around anymore. Now, even then, though, it still brings up a lot of questions. I mean, number one, Cinder does state in this episode that Salem went out of her way to tell Cinder, do not kill Ruby. So, it's very clear that if it is true that Ruby Silver Eyes can do something to Salem, Salem knows and doesn't want Ruby to die. So, I feel like that's the reason. And that's probably the reason why, Cinder is just so upset. Like, why? Why won't you let me, kill Ruby, but Salem wants it? Because, obviously nobody truly understands the weight behind what Salem has had to go through. But then it brings up a whole other question. Why doesn't Ozpin know? Who really knows? So, yeah. Besides all of that, though, there's a lot of other details that is, revealed in this episode. And sorry if you're hearing her bark. She's playing with her toy and she's growling at it. So, I'm sorry if you're hearing it. But, basically, a lot of other things were happening this episode. Number one, besides what was going on with Maria and how she feels like she's a failure, we have the situation to where they finally arrive at Argus. Now, I don't know how many of you really know this, but Argus is based off of, this guardian that protected Hera, which is a god in, Greek mythology. And Argus is a very big figure when it comes to Hera, the goddess, the queen of the gods, basically. She is very important. And so seeing something like, a town called Argus, I wonder if Rooster Teeth is trying to hint at something, maybe with mythology. I'm very curious, since we've had the whole introduction of gods, like the god of light, the god of darkness, and they were very Greek. They were very Greek, exquisite gods. I wonder if Argus might play a role or something. There could be more to it than we really know. Maybe the entire town is, a lot more going underneath the ground than we realize, maybe military-wise. Who really knows? But the point is that I like the naming of the town. I know it's been around for a while, the name of it. I just do like the name of the town, and I've, kind of neglected to mention the fact that the name is obviously based off of, a goddess that used to use Argus. So, anyways, let's talk about Jaune's family. So, for a very long time now, we have known Jaune had a bunch of sisters. He was like the lone boy in his family. And, Casca, come on now, please. I'll give you attention once this is done, okay? Chill. Jaune was the lone boy in his family. He was someone that had a bunch of sisters, and, you gotta imagine how awkward that's gonna be. And we finally get to see Jaune's sister, which only one, sadly. I wish we got to see all the others, but I feel like in terms of production value and all that, I guess it would be hard for Rooster Teeth to properly introduce every single sister of Jaune, all his family members, and the voice acting and all that. I'm willing to bet it would be a nightmare. So I could see why Rooster Teeth didn't introduce all of Jaune's sisters. However, I did like seeing the family portrait, and I do like seeing Saffron, I think that's her name, and how her lifestyle is. So we have a same-sex couple with Saffron and I think Terracotta, I think that's her name. If I'm saying her name wrong, correct me in the comments below. But we have a same-sex couple, and I'm, happy about that, because I mean, I'm just excited to see, once again, that Rooster Teeth, they are very open about this. I mean, we've already had stuff like this already in RWBY, but just seeing something like that, it does please me, and, I'm glad, something like that was done in, RWBY. But one thing that kind of threw me for a loop was that they have a child, and I'm just like, look, I've heard of same-sex couples having, adopting a child or whatever, but I was just like, why introduce the child before you introduced that they were in a relationship? It was very strange to me. I don't know. It just felt very oddly placed. But the child, though, I'm kind of curious. Is that, Terracotta's, actual child? Or is, the child an adoption? I really don't know. But I am very curious about that, because that was, something that popped up in this episode. I was curious, because I'm just like, why would Rooster Teeth introduce this child? And then that relationship, it feels very weird. But, I mean, besides that, though, I think overall this is a very good episode. I mean, it's not as like amazing as the previous episodes have been with the story and all that, and you know, finding out the reveal of the world building. But obviously, not every episode's gonna be like that. It can't be like that. No episode can, because I mean, sometimes you're gonna have episodes like this to where it's mainly just winding down and letting our characters just think. But it's not a bad episode by any means. It's definitely not the abomination that was part of Volume 5. So I'm fine with this episode. So I think that's pretty much about it. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about the things that happened in this episode with the plot progression to Maria's characterization and character development? How do you feel about Crow basing his weapon off the Grim Reaper? You know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.